Okay students, so this program is all about the 100% prelims program. In this we are going to discuss about the prelims oriented syllabus. So for the first few days, that means for the first 10 session we are going to discuss about the Indian polity. And let me introduce the program first, what we are going to discuss in the first 10 sessions, what topics we are going to cover in the Indian polity and why we choose in the Indian polity first. Before we discuss this, okay, first I will introduce you about the overall structure of this program. First we will start with the Indian polity, then the rest of the subjects will be followed. At the end of the program, we will discuss about the current affairs. And this program is exclusively oriented towards the prelims. The students whoever wanted to give the prelims this year 2023 and coming year 2024, this program will be helpful. In this program, two things will be included. Number one, particular topic concept will be explained. Then on that concept, if any previous year questions asked from the topic, the previous year questions will be displayed here. I will explain the question and I will give you enough time to you to derive the right answer. If not, I will explain why the particular is the right answer and how can you follow the elimination techniques. This is what I will explain. Apart from this, we'll see some model questions also. Once the subject is done, then they will conduct one exam, grand test on that particular subject. So you will get to know how much you learn about that particular subject. So this is the overall course of the overall structure of this course. Okay, online students are able to listen? Yes, clear. Thank you. First, for the first few minutes, now let me explain in the Indian polity what we are going to cover. So whatever the topics we are going to cover, it is entirely based on the syllabus and the focused areas which we covered in the last few years in Indian polity. Okay, so of course as time going on, as the course going on, I'll tell you which areas given more emphasis in the recent past, which topics, from which topics questions asked in the prelims, and you have to focus on which areas in the Indian polity and on average how many questions they are asking in the Indian polity we'll discuss in the coming days. So obviously this entire session, this entire Indian polity will be in 10 sessions. Each session will be 2 hours. This is according to the structure program. And of course, obviously at the end, because at the end of the program, eventually I will take 2 or 3 additional sessions also. That means in this program overall, we can end up with 12 to 13 sessions, each session of 2 hours. That means around 20 to 26 hours we are going to spend on the Indian polity. So each session will consist of 2 hours like I said earlier, and the first session we are going to discuss about this session number 1. So online students, whatever the queries you are having regarding the preparation strategy and everything, I will address all your queries at the end of the program. By that way, the flow of this class will not be disturbed. So first let me explain all your concerns in general. Any specific concerns I will address during the end of the class, online students. Meanwhile, if you have any subject related doubts while I am explaining about any particular topic, if you are having any doubts, you can ask. So in session number 1, we are going to discuss about salient features, schedules and sources of the Indian Constitution, preamble and union and territory. These are the topics we are going to discuss. After this, schedule 2. So I hope they given that leaflet to you. In the brochure, you will get all that specific information about the session 2, session 3. Session 3 DPSP, fundamental duties, amendment of the constitution, basic structure, and of course the rest of the session, session 4, session 5, session 6, 7, 8 and 9, 10. These are the topics we are going to discuss in detail. And one thing I can assure you students, if you are able to listen these classes very effectively, I can easily guarantee you that, forget about other subject, but from my subject I can easily guarantee you that you will achieve the 70 to 80% of the success rate. I cannot say it would be 100% because in UPSC prelims, the day will determine what kind of mindset, what kind of framework you are into and what kind of questions. But overall, I can help you out in the previous year questions and where the candidate generally will do mistakes, especially in polity. From last few years after I'm teaching into this polity subject, generally students don't differentiate what is the difference between the constitutional provision and what is the difference between the convention. In polity, sometimes we follow the convention, but certain things will be in the constitution. So you have to have a very differentiation between what is present in the constitution and what is the convention. Those are the areas where you will get trouble. Okay, we will discuss that while we are following the previous year questions. So without any further delay, first we will discuss the salient features. Then we will follow with the rest of the subjects. Once a particular topic is done on that particular topic, today as this is the first class, okay, I'll try to go a little bit slow. In this process, I'll try to explain in detail And once you are habituated to my teaching flow method and everything, then the things will be, you can easily grasp the things very quickly. First, we are going to discuss about the salient features of the Indian Constitution. Before we start the Indian Constitution, if you have any doubts regarding the Indian polity, let me know, students. Okay, common doubts. If you have any common doubts regarding the Indian polity, please ask me, I'll clear your doubts. Okay, any doubts? Are you able to understand the flow and everything? If you have any doubts regarding the common thing, ask me, and this is going to be the quick revision for you, especially the students who don't know, directionless, this prelims, for example, I don't know, I'm done with the classes in last year, or this year I'm done with the classes, but I'm not sure about my subject. Now, before I want to take the test series, I want to revise all the subject once, very quickly. For that, this will be useful. And if you are not having any strong basics also, this will be useful. Okay, how you will get to know. First, we are going to discuss about the salient features of the Indian Constitution. From this area, the questions will be completely concept-oriented questions. Okay, for example, so if you look at this question, which of the following are one of the basic features of the parliamentary form of the government? This is the question. So this nature of the question is, it wanted to test you, your understanding about the parliamentary form of the government. So generally, parliament form of the government means, what is the first point you will get in your mind? Parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary form of government means, obviously, there is a close relationship between the legislature and executive. If you know that point very well, then see how you can answer this question. So first statement they given is watertight. I highlighted the phrase or the word where you have to focus. Watertight separation of powers between the executive, legislature and judiciary. Do you think it is true? Forget about this answer. Actually, it's supposed to be masked, okay? But unfortunately, it's been revealed. So tell me, so do you agree with this statement, watertight separation of powers between the legislature, executive and judiciary? Yes or no? No means tell me how you not agree. Yes means tell me how you can agree. Do you understand with this statement? The statement is saying that there is a watertight separation between the legislature, executive and judiciary. If no means, how can you say there is no watertight separation? Not derived. Here the point is, legislature will involve if judiciary is violating the constitution. Judiciary will interfere if legislation is violating the constitution. And of course, if executive is violating the constitution, legislature will involve through motion of confidence. That means Indian separation of powers is not rigid. Indian separation of powers is like a rainbow. In rainbow, how the colors will flow, overlap on each other. The same way, in the Indian constitution, legislature, executive, judiciary, they are not separated completely. At one point of time, they interact with each other. That is the reason first statement is wrong. Okay, I'll explain the concept first. Just this is a brief how the questions will be asked. So statement 1 is wrong. Unless until you are very strong about what is the nature of the parliamentary form of government, you cannot answer this question. So you must know that what is the nature of the parliamentary form of the government. In parliamentary form of the government, obviously there is a close relationship between the legislature and executive. Which article saying that there is a close relation between the legislature and executive? Which article of the Indian Constitution is the best example for the parliamentary form of government? It was a question in 2022 prelims. Not exactly this verbatim, but the question is about, they given one article number, and so they given the question regarding which of the following articles are best reflecting the parliamentary form of government. Tell me, any one of you. You don't have any negative marking here. Online students also feel free to answer. Which article of the Indian Constitution, if I ask you, tell me one article which is reflecting that India following the parliamentary form of government. Did you understand the question? Yes. Give some answer. Which article you think? Article 50. How come? No, students. Yes, one guy told the right answer. Article 75, clause 3. Right. Nice. Article 75, clause 3. Ganesh, you are right. Article 75, clause 3. Some are saying Article 76. Article 76 is talking about what? Attorney General. How Attorney General related to parliamentary form of government? Article 75, clause 3 is saying that Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. This is the fundamental features of the parliamentary form of government. So we have to be that much perfect when you are answering the polity, because polity is a subject where the scoring can be very high if you are careful enough. Otherwise, if you are reading S&T or economy, so the cost benefit ratio will be very, very low. Even though you are so inch perfect in those subjects, the answering the questions will be very, very difficult. But polity, with a little bit carefulness, you can answer. So Article 75 Clause 3 is talking about Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to House of People. For tomorrow class, okay, so all of you please come with the Bare Act of the Indian Constitution. You know what is the meaning of Bare Act here? Bare Act lexicon publication, Bare Act is available. Get with the Bare Act, not with the Lakshmikant book. Bare Act will be good. I will tell one article number, any article numbers, you have to refer the particular article number, and you have to go through the verbatism. Second statement, executive is responsible to the legislature. Of course, this is the best example of the parliamentary form of government. That is what Article 75 Clause 3 is talking about. Next, division of powers between the center and state. Isolatedly, this statement is right. In India, division of powers are there between the center and state. But division of powers between the center and state is not the feature of parliamentary form of government. It is a feature of federalism. So it is not related to this. That means in MCQs, what you will learn, sometimes in MCQs, the individual statement might be right, but it may not be related to the question. This is one type of asking questioning. This is where most of the students will get troubled. Students will have a habit of looking at the statement individually. Yes, this is right. So 2 and 3 both are right. So they go for the D. Third one is isolatedly right, but it is not related to parliamentary form of government. It is a federalism. Article 246, Schedule 7. Division of powers between the center and state. We will discuss more. So this is how questions will be asked. Okay, don't take the subject for granted and don't assume the questions will be pretty straightforward. So once we are done with one model questions, now let me introduce the topic to you. I'll give a quick overview about the salient features of the Indian Constitution. In case if you miss out in your actual class, in case if your basics are not very good about this particular topic, listen for the next 10 to 15 minutes with very attentive. I'll finish off this subject in a very rapid manner, and meanwhile if you have any doubts, ask me students. Okay, so salient features of the Indian Constitution. This is about the essential features of the Indian Constitution. These are inviolable. Okay, that means more or less they form the basic structure of the Constitution also. The first one is the lengthiest written Constitution. Obviously, you know the students, Indian Constitution is a written Constitution, and Indian Constitution is written by who wrote? Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly formed on the recommendation of Cabinet Mission 1946. The word Constituent Assembly proposed by M.N. Roy, 34. But the question is about who proposed the formation of Constituent Assembly, Cabinet Mission 1946. Elections held in 1946. From there onwards, we started writing our Indian Constitution. Okay, we started Indian Constitution from 1946. The first meeting was held. We'll discuss about that in the making of Constitution. So, lengthiest written Constitution, obviously, Indian Constitution is a written Constitution. This is the first feature, and you know that American Constitution is also written Constitution. Now here, I'll ask one applied part. Written Constitution is the federal feature or unitary feature? I'm giving two options to you. Written Constitution is a federal feature or unitary feature? Say whatever you know, I'll give the right answers to you. Do you understand the question? Written Constitution is a federal feature or unitary feature? Whatever the answer you say, substantiate you with your answer. Okay, if you are federal means why it is federal, written Constitution. Unitary means why do you think it's a unitary? Written Constitution is a federal feature. How? Because if it is a Constitution is written means it is saying about the rights of the states. Then federalism can be existed. If the Constitution would have been unwritten, then all the powers would have been assumed by the center. There is no federal. Are you understanding my point? This is how the concept will be applied in the exam. So written Constitution is always federal in nature, because the written Constitution clearly distributes the powers between the center and state. That is what our Constitution done in Schedule 7 in the form of Union list, state list, concurrent list, and Article 246. And we already studied the legislative relations administrative relations and financial relations. In the topic of center-state relations, V means you might have studied in your preparation, I mean to say. Are we clear? This is the first one, lengthiest written constitution, first feature. Next, Indian constitution is both rigid and flexible. Here what do you mean rigid? Rigid means the changing of the Indian constitution. Some features of the Indian constitution changing is very, very difficult, and some features are very, very easy to change. The features which are easy to change, they require only simple majority, and the features which are difficult to change, they require the special majority, and in some extent even you need the approval of 50% of the states. Best example, GST bill, and for the creation of All India Services, Article 312. Okay, that is about rigidity and flexibility. This is also one of the feature of Indian constitution. Actually, there was a conflict regarding this. Article 13 is saying that no law which is violating the fundamental rights will be operationalized in India. That means any law which is violating the fundamental rights, it will be automatically invalid. Then there was a question. If government of India, if parliament is amending any constitution, and by amending the constitution, if you take out any fundamental rights, if you remove any fundamental rights, then what happens? Are you understanding my question? Article 13 is saying that no law should violate the fundamental rights. But through 44th Constitution Amendment Act, with 44th Constitution Amendment Act, not only you violated the fundamental right, you removed one fundamental right also. Then there was a contradiction happened between the Article 13 as well as Article 368. Then the Golaknath case, Supreme Court given a clarity that Parliament cannot amend the fundamental rights. I will explain in the fundamental rights topic, just I am giving an overview. And Golaknath case, Supreme Court also told that Parliament can amend the fundamental right only by forming the Constituent Assembly. Parliament alone cannot amend the fundamental rights. That was in 1967, which was overcome by the Keshavananda Bharati case. In Keshavananda Bharati case, Supreme Court clarified that as Parliament can amend the fundamental right, but as long as it is not affecting the basic structure. So there are certain rigid features in the Indian Constitution, and there are certain flexible features. Rigid features comes as a part of the basic structure, as well as whatever the federal features are there, all they comes under the rigid features, because they require 50% of the state's approval. When a particular bill will go to state's approval, state assembly has to pass the bill with what type of majority? Special majority or simple majority? Simple majority. That also you have to remember. In how many months? 6 months, 6 weeks or 6 months? No time limits. That you have to remember. So these are the points where you will be tricked out. Okay? No time limit. Assemblies can take whatever the time they like. We'll discuss about that. So this is the second feature. That means Indian Constitution is both rigid as well as flexible. Okay, amendment is difficult in some parts and easy in some part. For example, if you want to establish a state according to Article 3, it requires only simple majority, very flexible. Okay, whereas if you want to remove the Chief Justice of India, rigid, difficult, you have to achieve the special majority. And if you want to create in All India Services, Article 312, then obviously more rigid. You have to take the approval of at least 50% of the state legislatures. This is the second feature of the Indian Constitution. Okay, whatever the verbatism I am saying now, that you can find in the reference book, Lakshmikant book. Okay, and any important points you feel, you can write down simultaneously. Third one, federal system with unitary bias. Federal system with unitary bias. This is also one of the essential feature of the Indian Constitution. What does it mean? Indian Constitution, even though federal in spirit, but it is unitary in letter. How can you say? That is what Article 1 is talking about. Article 1 is saying that India, that is Bharat, Union of States. Nowhere the word federalism is mentioned. In that context, even B.R. Ambedkar also mentioned that India is an indestructible union with the destructible states. Very, very important. That means we given federalism inherently but not explicitly. What is the reason? The reason is when India formed in 1947, India was with 562 princely states. If federalism word would have been explicitly mentioned, those princely states, they would have assumed more powers and they would have demand for that separation from the country. To avoid that, inherently we given the federalism but not explicitly. Okay, but overall India is a more towards union. For example, if you take a balance of this, One is one extreme federalist, the other one is unitary. It is not balanced out. Okay, it is not evenly. It is the more balance, more powers given to unitary in nature. Okay, what kind of such things we'll discuss in the coming classes, but I'll give one example. Indian is a federal system with unitary basis, all India services. All India services. Best example. It is strengthening the center or state? Center. Okay, and the appointment of governor. This is also strengthening the center. And of course, the audit machinery, COG. This is also strengthening the center, because COG is appointed by the president, and the name is recommended by the union government. Best example, when union government appointed, okay, so this Murmu as a lieutenant governor of Jammu Kashmir previously, as soon as he done with the lieutenant governor of Jammu Kashmir, immediately he was given with the COG post, GC Murmu. The present COG is Girish Chandra Murmu. Previously he was the lieutenant governor. When he was a lieutenant governor means you can understand what kind of close relation between him as well as the government. So this is how the central government has more powers through COG. Even the Election Commission of India, EC, is also promoting more unitary compared to federal. Recently, Supreme Court also, it expressed some reservation regarding the Election Commission, because Election Commission of India is now with 3-member body, and they don't have any explicit qualifications. Whoever they want, they are appointing as a election commissioners. Because of that, the independency of the election commission is getting disturbed. So this is also giving more powers to center. So these are just, for example, some of the things which are giving more powers to center compared to states. Actually, the concept of governor we borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935. Appointment of governor by central government, that is from the Canada Constitution. Appointment of the governor by central government, that is the Canada Constitution. This is the third salient features of the Indian Constitution. Okay. What I can suggest to you is, as we have done very quick revision, rapid revision in the class, as soon as you are done with the class, go through the same topic again. By that way, you are done with this topic. So your confidence will improve over the period of time. At the end of the 10th day or 11th day of the Indian polity, more or less you will be done with the entire Lakshmikant book along with the class. So your preparation and the class learning will be sync. Next, fourth one, parliamentary form of government. As I mentioned already, India follows the parliamentary form of government. So parliamentary form of government means executive and the legislature, they enjoy the close relation, as well as executive derived from legislature. In India, executive derived from legislature. How can you say that? You can say by referring the Article 75, Clause 5. What is Article 75, Clause 5 is talking about? Article 75, Clause 5 is talking about a person can be a minister for maximum of 6 months without being a member of the parliament. But within 6 months, minister has to get the membership in the parliament. That means the executive must have the membership in the legislature. That kind of close relationship is there in India between the legislature and executive. Are you understanding my points? Okay, should be very active, students, because this requires a lot of focus and a lot of energy from you. Fifth one, synthesis of parliament sovereignty and judicial supremacy. Tell me, students, what does it mean? It means in India, parliament is having all the powers, but at the same time, whatever the laws done by the parliament, that will be reviewed by the judiciary. This is in mains point of view. When you are writing the mains, this point will be very helpful. The main difference between the India and British is Britain follow the parliamentary form of government, India follow the parliamentary form of government. But in Britain, parliament has absolute sovereignty, whereas in India, the parliament don't have absolute sovereignty. In India, all the parliament actions, whatever the laws done by the parliament, they are subjected to judicial review. Even though the word judicial review is not explicitly mentioned in the Indian Constitution, inherently it is present in the form of Article 13, Article 32, Article 131, Article 137. Okay, these are the various range of articles which are providing the judicial review indirectly. Even judiciary can review the constitution amendment done by the parliament also. Recently, judiciary reviewed the 103rd Constitution Amendment Act, and Supreme Court upheld the 103rd Constitution Amendment Act. It said it is okay. Whereas the 99th Constitution Amendment Act, it was reviewed by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court struck down. That was related to NJSC. So, judicial review. So, when the judicial review is very significant, when judicial independency is there, then judicial review is more significant. If judiciary is not independent enough, then judicial review is useless. How can you ensure the judicial independence? We discuss in the judiciary, but meanwhile you have to know that judicial independence can be ensured in India by various means, various ways. For example, judges' salaries and office conditions cannot be reduced. Judges' tenures cannot be reduced. Judges' actions cannot be discussed in the parliament. And post-retirement, judges cannot be practiced anywhere in India. Okay? And the court has all the authority, all the autonomy regarding the recruitment of its administrative staff. And judges' salary is charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, not made from the Consolidated Fund of India. All these are the various provisions which are ensuring the independency of Indian judiciary. Why you require the independency judiciary? When judiciary is independence, then only it can exercise the judicial review. When judicial review is exercised, then only it can check the parliament sovereignty. Okay? This concept you have to know. Next, integrated and independent judiciary. This is also one of the salient features of Indian Constitution. Integrated and independent judiciary. Just now I told you what is the independent judiciary means, how the Indian independent judiciary is ensured. Integrated judiciary. Tell me students, integrated judiciary is the federal feature or unitary feature? Integrated judiciary is a federal feature or a unitary feature? Integrated judiciary is federal feature or unitary feature? Tell me guys, integrated judiciary is federal or unitary? Think. Integrated means single. Single means state don't have any role. That means unitary. Who are appointing the High Court judges? President. President is the union executive, not the state executive. Who are transferring the judges? President. Who are paying the pensions of the High Court judges? Consolidated Fund of India, not the Consolidated Fund of State. So, integrated judiciary is an example of unitary feature. So, you must be very thorough. Which feature of the Indian Constitution is federal in nature? Which feature of the Indian Constitution is unitary in nature? Next, obviously, I am not explaining much these things because these are separate topics we are going to discuss. Fundamental right, one of the feature of the Indian Constitution. Then DPSP is one of the feature of Indian Constitution, and fundamental duties also one of the feature of Indian Constitution. What are the other features of the Indian Constitution? Salient features: secular state. Of course, secularism is, even though the word secular nowhere mentioned in the Indian Constitution, it is inherently present straight away in the Article 25 to Article 28, even Article 29, 30, even Article 326. So many other articles are promoting the secularism. We will discuss at appropriate points. Secularism. India follows the positive secularism. That means state can interfere in the religious matters. When religion require reform, state can interfere. Whereas in countries like Western countries like USA, their state and religion, they are separated. They are separated. One philosopher very popularly says that in political science, he says that the secularism in America is like a brother and sister who lead separate families. Okay? Whereas secularism countries like India is like wife and husband who are mutually interrelated. So this is how the secularism was depicted by one of the famous philosopher. I hope you understood how the interrelation between the state and religion in India. Why the state is involving the religion in India? Because in India, a lot of the religions are suffering from the social evils. If state would have been not interfere, those social evils will consolidate it and so many vulnerable people will get affected. Yes or no? We have seen so many decades, triple talaq, how women got affected and the court involved, and court said that triple talaq is crime. The same as Sati system, which was abolished of course in 1929, and of course Widow Remarriage Act, child marriages, and to take out all these kind of evils in the religion, even the government is also proactively taking up the Article 44, Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code. Only the state of Goa is implementing the Uniform Civil Code now. Recently, Uttarakhand is also trying to go for the Uniform Civil Code. They appointed one committee also, which is leading by Uttarakhand government appointed one committee on Uniform Civil Codes. That committee led by, I'll give one hint, the same person led the Jammu Kashmir Delimitation Commission also. You don't know that also. Recently it is in news, Jammu Kashmir Delimitation Commission. Ranjana Prakash Desai. Ranjana Prakash Desai. She was the former Supreme Court judge. She led both the Delimitation Commission of Jammu Kashmir as well as the Committee on Uniform Civil Code related to Uttarakhand. Very good. Okay. So last polity class, after this 10 or 11 sessions done, last polity class I will take exclusively last 1 year, whatever the contemporary polity issues are happened, like remote voting recently, and the issues of the collegium system, issues of the governor, okay. So some polity issues are coming up, and the border dispute between the state Belgaum, the dispute of Belgaum between the Maharashtra and Karnataka, okay. Some issues are coming up, and the dispute between the Delhi government and Delhi lieutenant governor, okay, Delhi government and Delhi lieutenant governor. These are some of the issues are coming up, okay. We'll discuss on contemporary issues later. First, we'll fix our general studies knowledge. Next, universal adult franchise. This is also one of the salient features of the Indian Constitution. Article 326 of the Indian Constitution giving voting right to everyone, and Article 324 talks about the Election Commission of India, and Article 325 talks about the electoral roll, voter list. Okay, Article 326 is the best example of the political justice in India, because next topic is the preamble. In preamble, where we read about the justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, justice, social justice, economic justice, political justice. Political justice best example, universal adult franchise. That means whoever the above age of the 18 years, they will get voting rights. Previously it used to be the 21 years, but Rajiv Gandhi time, the 21 years reduced to 18 years. When 21 years reduced to 18 years, obviously so many people will eligible to vote. Because of that, Rajiv Gandhi government increased the single member election commission of India to 3-member election commission of India in 1989. Of course, next VP Singh government reverted back from 3-member to 1-member. Again, PV Narasimha Rao government reverted back from 1-member to 3-member. Now we are continuing with the 3-member body, Election Commission of India, Article 324. Next, single citizenship. Of course, students, Article 9 of the Indian Constitution. Article 9 of the Indian Constitution discourages the dual citizenship. Even we discussed in the Article 102. What is Article 102 deals with? Say something. Budgets. Okay, very good. Article 102 deals with MP's disqualification. MP disqualification. What are the grounds of the MP disqualification? I'll explain in Parliament again. Just a rapid round kind of thing I'm asking. What are the grounds of MP disqualification? Number 1, when MP lost the citizenship. Second, insolvent. Third, office of profit. Fourth, unsound mind. Fifth, if it disqualified according to any law made by the Parliament. That is Representation of People Act 1951. These are the 5 grounds which mentioned under Article 102 Clause 1. Article 102 Clause 2 deals with what? Disqualification under defection. Disqualification under defection. Which comes under disqualification under defection? When a candidate not obey the party whip. When the person voluntarily resign. When independent member join into any other political party. This statement tested in 2022 UPSC Prelims. 2022 UPSC Prelims, they ask this question. Independent member joins into any other political party. If a nominated member joins into any political party after 6 months. If a party winning and one political party joining into another political party. These are the 5 grounds which comes under disqualification under defection, which mentioned under Article 102 Clause 2. Okay, we discuss all these things. So as citizenship came, I am explaining, if any legislature in India, whether it is a MLA or MP, if they lose the citizenship, immediately they lose their candidature in the representative legislative bodies, because India encourage only single citizenship. Now tell me students, single citizenship is a unitary feature or federal feature? You must work on these topics. Which are unitary features, which are federal features? Obviously unitary, single citizenship only one. Center is controlling all these things. America is having state citizenship as well as country citizenship. Like if you are living in California or Connecticut, wherever, you will have state citizenship as well as country citizenship. So single citizenship is a unitary feature. Next, independent bodies. So we will discuss about these independent bodies under the topic of constitutional bodies. What are the constitutional bodies in India? Obviously, Attorney General, then COG, then Advocate General, then obviously Interstate Council, Article 263. Then obviously State Election Commission, Article 243D, State Finance Commission, Article 243I, then Finance Commission, Article 280, GST Council, Article 279A, Special Officer for Linguistic Minority, Article 350B, SC Commission, Article 323A, and ST Commission, Article 323B. SC Commission, Article 323, ST Commission, Article 323A, and BC Commission, Article 323B. Okay. So these are some of the constitutional bodies. Of course, Article 243 ZD, Municipal, okay, District Planning Committee. Article 243 ZE, Metropolitan Planning Committee. All these are some of the, not some, almost all the constitutional bodies we covered. So these are the constitutional bodies which are present in the Indian Constitution. Okay, very, very important. We will discuss independent bodies. Independent bodies will make sure the system works properly. Of course, here I did not mention the UPSC also. Article 315, UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, and tribunals also. Tribunals also. So comes under this independent bodies, constitutional bodies. Tribunals established under according to which committee recommendation? Swaran Singh Committee. Next, emergency provisions. These are also. Tell me guys, emergency provisions are unitary features or federal feature? Unitary, obviously, because center will assume all the powers. Emergency powers we will discuss in the respective topic. Three-tier government. Originally, Indian Constitution provided only two-tier government. Later, 73rd and 74th Amendment, it added one more government, that is local government. Then cooperative societies, it is also added later, and in the Indian Constitution, Part 9B, cooperatives you will find. Of course, in Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause C is also cooperatives are there. Freedom to form associations, union, cooperatives you will find. Even in the Article 43, Clause B also you will find cooperatives. Directive principles of state policy. These are the places where you will find the cooperatives. Okay, that's it, students. This is about the salient features of Indian Constitution in a very rapid revision format. So more or less whatever now you will read in the Lakshmikant book, everything we covered. On top of that, even some interrelated topics also we covered. Now after the class, without any delay, you must be able to finish this topic, because just now you listen this topic. Now we'll try to solve some MCQs. We will include more number of MCQs in coming classes, because once you are habituated to this learning model, you should not be shocked because of, so overload, you should not feel. Next, so this is about next question, students. First MCQ we already checked. Second MCQ, which of the following statements about the Constitution of India are right? Okay, popular sovereignty, that is sovereignty of the India, or adult franchise, these are the basic structure of the Constitution. These are the basic structure of the Constitution. Don't form any opinion now. Just go through all the statement once. We'll find. So first statement. Second statement. The Constitution in so far as the division of powers between the center and state concerned is rigid. They are saying that the division of powers between the center and state is rigid. Second statement. Third one. The Constitution recognizes the interdependency of civil and economic rights. Civil rights and economic rights will be interdependent. This is what Constitution is saying. Fourth one, the Constitution mentions direct control by the people, such as a referendum, initiative, recall. This is what the statement is giving. Constitution is mentioning the direct democracy process. You know what is the meaning of direct democracy, where people directly involved. Out of these four statements, which statement will rule out completely, directly, straight away? Fourth. Constitution nowhere mentioned the direct democracy. Clear. Next we'll go back to the 3. So here the second statement, look at here. The Constitution in so far as the division of powers between the center and state, it is rigid. No. The division of powers between the center and state is not rigid. It is fluid. Sometimes center also can interfere and they can make laws on the states. Which condition? When 2 or more states requested. When 2 or more states requested. For the implementation of the international laws, international treaties, and when Rajya Sabha made a special resolution, and when Rajya Sabha allowed the parliament to make laws on the state list, third condition, and during the time of emergency, fourth condition, and during the time of president rule, fifth condition. That means parliament can make laws on the state list in these 5 possible things. That means the division of power is not rigid. It is only so indicative in nature but not exhaustive. So second statement is also wrong. Third one, the Constitution recognizes interdependency of civil and economic rights. In the Indian Constitution, we have seen fundamental rights, but nowhere we did not mention about the interdependency between the economic rights and civil rights. Economic rights nowhere mentioned explicitly. So this is, of course, if you are not sure about, at least you should be able to eliminate 2 options. Okay. So when you are eliminating 2 options, option 2, this statement 2 and statement 4 should not be there. Statement 2, statement 4, statement 2, statement 4 should not be there. Then the answer will be only 1. Even though you don't know about the rest of the statements, straight away the answer is 1. This is how the elimination will work. That means out of 4 statements, with only 2 statements knowledge, now we are able to go through the right answer. So the lesson you should learn is, for prelims, 100% preparation will never achieve. The only thing is 70 to 80% preparation is enough. With that knowledge, you should be able to eliminate the other things. You will get whatever the marks you required. 100% preparation is myth. You never achieve, even you read for UPSC for 4 or 5 years, like 5 years plan. Are we clear? So this is about the second question regarding the salient features. So in the first question, our knowledge was tested on the parliamentary form of government, and in the second question, our knowledge tested on what is present in the constitution and what is not present in the Indian constitution. That is what tested. Okay, next. So previous time when we are discussing in note 5, the answers are automatically displaying, so that won't test your level of knowledge. Third question, consider the following statement related to secularism in India. Okay, fine. So secularism in India, they are asking about, so how secularism is in India is tested, present or whatever it may be. Consider the following statement related to secularism in India. See, it entails strict separation of religion from politics. In India, constitution, secularism, the idea of secularism in India is about politics and religious should strictly separated. Do you agree with this? In India, politics and religion should be strictly separated according to Indian secularism. Agree or not? Obviously, strict separation is there. Political parties cannot use religious symbols and all these things. Okay, so if you don't know, fine. First statement like this. Second statement, it bans party with religious affiliations from contesting elections. Yes or no? In India, any political party with religious affiliations, because in India, political party is expected to be secular because it is contesting and it is getting votes from everyone. So, in reality, according to the Representation of People Act 1951, when political party wanted to be registered, it must not affiliated with any religion. Third one, it grants religious liberty to all communities. Indian secularism, religious liberty to all communities. Yes. It accepts the community personal laws. Of course, in India, community personal laws are accepted. How? For example, so many years, triple talaq accepted. Now we are accepting the Jallikattu. So many years, even Shabarimala temple, women were not allowed. That means community personal laws are accepted. And third statement also all of you agreed. So statement 3 and statement 4 must be right. Statement 3 must be there in the statement. Answer. This 3 and 4 are there and 3 and 4 are there. That means you eliminated the 1. This second B option is eliminated. Next, what you have to know, 3 and 4 are right. Then you have to know about whether 1 and 2. Out of this 1 and 2, second statement is more or less very clear. Indian secularism is banning the political parties with religious affiliations from contesting the elections. Of course, it is right. Because when these 2 are right, obviously this must be right. Because a political party must be secular in nature. It should be able to promote the religious harmony rather than religious conflict. So second statement must be right. Then, so in our answer, which statements are right means in our answer, it must contain, it bans. What it is saying? Consider the following statement related to secularism in India. First statement, it entails strict separation of religion from politics. Of course, it is right. So it bans parties with religious affiliation from contesting elections. Here you have to go with the word contesting elections. This word you have to focus. Here contesting elections means, even though a particular political party, even though core ideology is related to religion, they should not mix the religion with the politics. For example, I'll give you for a clarity of thoughts, Shiva Sena in Maharashtra. Shiva Sena in Maharashtra, while in their politics, they should not involve the religion, but when they are contesting, they are not banned. They were allowed to contest. But the only thing is, if they explicitly identify themselves with the religion, then that political party will be banned. So here, the conditional statement. Unless until you are very good with the secularism concept in India, you cannot answer these kind of questions. So what is the right answer? Number 1, religion must be separated from politics. Right. Third one, it must be right. And fourth one, it must be right. Second one, why it is wrong? Because it depends on the condition. If any particular political party explicitly owning to a particular religion, then it will be banned. Otherwise, it will never ban. For example, present Indian BJP, It is obviously closely related to RSS ideology, MIM, so Islamic ideology, so they are not been banned. They'll ban when they are mixing religions with politics. So like I said earlier, the answer must be 1, 3, 4. So these kind of questions are very difficult and these are subjective interpretations. You feel that this statement is right sometimes. Unless until now I explained to you, then you got a conclusion that this is wrong. Otherwise, on the face value of this question, sometimes you feel that, of course, in India, a political party with religious affiliation will be banned, so you'll go for this statement. So how you will solve this kind of questions when you are frequently exposed to this type of questions, then your level of understanding about that particular subject will be improved. Are we clear? Do you have any doubts regarding this question? If yes, please ask me. Online students also. Online students also, if you have any doubts, ask me guys. Next, which one of the following is not a salient features of the Constitution of India? Pretty straightforward question. Which of the following is not salient features of Indian Constitution? Written Constitution and supremacy of the Constitution, quasi-federal structure, committed judiciary, distribution of powers. Which one you think? Feel free to tell answer. You don't need to pressure yourself here because in exam anyhow you will. So tell me here. Which one you think not a salient features? Quasi-federal? Okay, so we'll see. First one is written Constitution, pretty straight away. I told you it is one of the salient features, and supremacy of the Constitution is also one of the salient features. It is ensured by independent judiciary. Right. Second, quasi-federal structure. In India, don't you think quasi-federal is one of the salient feature? Because even though you are not saying federal nowhere, but still you are allowing the federalism in the form of Schedule 7. Yes or no? You are allowing the federalism in the form of some constitutional amendment require even the state's approval. That means even though the federalism word is not saying, in the spirit, the federalism is there. Just now I mentioned earlier, India is both unitary as well as federal, so quasi-federal. Then distribution of powers is there, Schedule 7. But this is not the salient feature. India, we always say about the independent judiciary, okay, but we don't particularly say committed judiciary. Did you ever find this word committed judiciary? Judiciary itself is supposed to be committed. That is the reason we are giving independence to them. So, committed judiciary is the wrong one. Even though they given only 4 options, still they'll test you some of the basics in polity. Okay. So, you have to be very careful, students. Next question. Consider the following statement with reference to the secularism in India. Secularism in India. This is one more question regarding the secularism. Secularism means that state has no recognized religion of state. Do you agree with this statement? Okay. Or else if we come back to this statement again. Secularism means the state treat all the religions equally. Next. Secularism means that the state regulates the relations of man with the God. So out of this, which statement do you think right? First statement, secularism means that the state has no recognized religion. Right or wrong? Yes. Very good. Secularism means that the state treat all the religions equally. Yes or no? Yes. That means first and second statement must be there. That means either B or it must be A. We narrow down to 2 options. Now third one, secularism means that the state regulates the relation of man with the God. Yes or no? According to Indian secularism. Secularism in India. In India, can government regulate the relationship with the man and God? Yes or no? For example, if a man want to give human sacrifice to any god, can government regulate that? Can government regulate? So if someone believing in the God and I feel that when he dies, his wife is supposed to die also. Sati system, if someone believed. Can government regulate that? Regulates. That means in Indian, this is all about secularism in India. It can be regulated. Secularism means the state regulates the relation of man with India in the Indian context. In the Western context, secularism means complete separation of the government from the religious matters. There, the church and the government different. Actually, the word secularism, how it got into use, secular means person who believe in the earthly matters. Okay, that means he believes only what he can see. Secular means. Non-secular, religiously orthodox means he will believe in the heavenly world also. That is from there the word secularism words came. So answer is B. Okay, 1 and 2. the third one, which I said, right, actually, why I said this right earlier, if this word regulates would have been not there, then this statement would be right. Like she said, 1 and 2. But if this word regulate would have been not there, then this statement is right, as the word regulate means regulate can be anywhere. If state unnecessarily involved in the religion, then what will happen? That fundamental right to freedom of religion will be affected. Are you understanding? So you have to know both sides of the statement. Initially, I said you believed that, okay, this is right. When I shown the answer, then also you believed that this is wrong. How? This word, I highlighted the word regulate. So you would have able to ask question that regulate means in which way. If government regulates irrationally, for example, all the people should worship your God in this manner only, then that promotes the Indian secularism? No, according to Article 25 to 28. You should be able to quote the Article 25, because Article 25 is saying that an individual having the right of freedom of religion as long as his religious practice is not affecting the public order. So here state can regulate. So when I am highlighting a particular word means it is having a definitive meaning and you should be very careful. Are we clear? That is the reason, guys, sometimes polity questions are subjected to interpretations even till the key, official key will come, till different people will have a different versions. If this word regulate would have been made there, for example, secularism means the state or control or reasonably control the relation of man with God, then the statement will be right, because state can reasonably control. Here regulate is not defined, it can be positive or it can be negative. But for a safe side, we will see the negative way, because fundamental right, Article 25 is saying that individual has all the freedom. So this statement will be eliminated. So the wording is very, very important. And next, when you are answering the questions, whichever the words I am highlighting, try to be focused on that. Are we clear, students? If any one of you have a doubt, please ask me, students. So this is about some of the sample questions on the Indian Constitution salient features. Now what we are going to discuss is, we are going to discuss about the federalism topic. Preamble topic. Preamble, and we will discuss about the sources of Indian Constitution later. Then union and territory. These are the topics we will finish, students. First, let me explain about the preamble, and we will try to solve some previous year's questions also regarding the preamble. So last question and the first question. So please be careful about those kind of words which is specified. Very, very important, students. So first, let me briefly explain about the Indian Constitution preamble. Obviously, preamble reflects the philosophy of Indian Constitution a lot. That means what Constitution is talking about. And from preamble, you will learn about 4 basic information. First one is source of authority. Who is the source of authority to Indian Constitution? That can be known from the preamble, that is the people. Very good. That is the people of India. Then from preamble, you will get to know about the nature of India. What is the nature of India? Obviously, sovereign, secular, socialist and democratic and republic. These 2 words we added later. We will discuss later. Okay. Next, then objectives of the Indian Constitution. Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Third thing we are learning from the preamble. And fourth one, the date of adoption. Okay. 26th November 1949. This present NDA government, we are celebrating this day as a constitutional day also. 26th November. So this is the basic information regarding the Indian Constitution preamble. Then now we'll discuss whether the preamble is part of the Constitution or not, whether the preamble is enforceable or not, and what are the previous year's questions related to preamble. We'll check further. As already we are done with, so preamble is giving information about these 4 things we discussed. Next, some of the popular views. Sometimes in UPSC questions, they are asking some political science related questions also sometimes, like any statement given by some of the philosopher, or else statement given by the some of the popular expert in the Constituent Assembly. Their statements also they are giving, and they are asking you. So the true or false kind of things. So this is one of the popular statement by the, so Falkiwala is, preamble is considered as this identity card of the Constitution. And some other people, K.M. Munshi, like horoscope of the sovereign nation. And apart from this, the most important thing you have to remember is preamble original form was the objective resolution introduced by the Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru introduced this objective resolution in the second meeting of the Constituent Assembly, that was in 1946. Then it was later approved on the 22nd January 1947. 22nd January 1947, where this objective resolution was approved unanimously. Next, it is non-justiciable. What does it mean, non-justiciable means? What is non-justiciable means? If it is not enforceable, you cannot go to court. Whereas, for example, fundamental rights. If fundamental rights are not enforceable, can you go to court? Yes. Which article? Supreme Court? Article 32. High Court? 226. You can get the writs. But here, you don't have that kind of power. And they are amendable. Of course, we amended through 42nd Constitution Amendment Act in 1976. These are the popular cases regarding the preamble. In Berubari case 1960, Supreme Court told preamble is not part of the Constitution. Actually, Berubari case is not exactly about this preamble. It is about actually the land border, that land sharing between the India and then East Pakistan. Then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. With Bangladesh, actually, we had two Constitution Amendment. One Constitution Amendment is 9th Constitution Amendment Act, which was in 1960. And the second one is recent 100th Constitution Amendment Act. 100th Constitution Amendment Act. Actually, for better understanding of this, you must know about Article 2, Article 3. Okay, Article 2 is saying that if we are adding any part to India, or we are giving away any territory from India to other things, okay, Constitution Amendment is not required. That is what Article 4 is talking about. Article 4 is saying that whatever you done through Article 2, Article 3, it does not come under Constitution Amendment. Now we given some land to Bangladesh under Article 2. Then someone went to Supreme Court. Okay, whether Constitution Amendment is required or Parliament can give whatever the land they like to other countries. Then in the very popular Berubari case, Supreme Court told that Parliament has to do the Constitution Amendment because the word sovereign, which is present in the preamble, is part of the Constitution. Okay, and even though the entire preamble in this judgment, they given a different view, even though they said preamble is not part of the Constitution, if anything related to sovereign, then that must be through Constitution Amendment. In Berubari case, Supreme Court clarified that if you are giving away any particular land to other countries, Constitution Amendment is required. Then in Keshavananda Bharati case, Supreme Court told that whatever the things mentioned in the preamble, they are part of the Constitution, because preamble is reflecting the ideology of the Indian Constitution, philosophy of the Indian Constitution. Then LIC of India case 1995, this case also reaffirmed the view of the Supreme Court in Keshavananda Bharati case in such a manner that as preamble is an integral part of the Constitution. These are the very popular judgments regarding the preamble, whether it is a part of the Constitution or not. Through 42nd Amendment 1976. Actually, you have to remember, students, 1976 is a period where we are going through the emergency, and Indira Gandhi wanted to remind everyone that you should follow fundamental duties also. With the same amendment, we added the fundamental duties. Did you remember that? Through the same amendment, we added the fundamental duties. Of course, with the same amendment, we added the Article 48A also. It is the responsibility of the state to protect the forest, environment, wildlife. That one we added. Of course, we added the one more article, Article 39A. It is the responsibility of state to provide the free legal aid. That is also to the 42nd Amendment 1976. Actually, through the same 42nd Amendment 1976, almost all government given unlimited powers to Parliament to amend the Constitution in whichever the way they like. So, majority of the things which they are done through 42nd Amendment 1976, either they reversed through 44th Amendment or Supreme Court cancelled out in Minerva Mills case 1980. Minerva Mills case 1980. Okay, these are the two ways. Anyhow, in Keshavananda Bharati case, okay, Supreme Court clarified that preamble is a part of the Constitution. When preamble is a part of the Constitution, when you are able to amend the Constitution, you can able to amend the preamble also. So, we amended the preamble and we added the three words, obviously, socialist, secular and integrity. The words integrity, these are the three words. Okay. So, of course, might be next slide you will see the word socialist, secular and the word integrity. These are the three words we added. Why we added? Don't we have a secular before we add this word? Yes, we have a secular word. But Indira Gandhi government explicitly, she want to show that our government is giving equal preference to all the religion. In the process of that, she included this word secular. In fact, even the word socialism is also not required, because already the directive principles of state policy, especially the Article 39D and Article 39B, Article 39C, Article 39D, all these are related to socialistic principles only. What is Article 39B is talking about? Article 39B is talking about C, that is Article 39C is talking about concentration of wealth. 39B is talking about the community wealth should be distributed to everyone. The common wealth, the society wealth should be distributed to everyone. 39C, prohibition of concentration of wealth. 39D, equal livelihood opportunities to everyone. Article 39B, 39C, they are highly important in such an extent that even though you are violating Article 14 and Article 19 for the implementation of Article 39B, 39C, still that is valid. That is what Article 31C is talking about. The conflict between the DPSP as well as fundamental rights. Okay, fine. Preamble? Obviously. Constitution nowhere mentioned like that. The Constitutional Amendment? Yes. Because preamble is form of the basic structure of the Constitution, which clarified by the Supreme Court in Keshavananda Bharati case. It is an integral part as well as it is a basic structure of the Constitution. So when you are amending anything related to basic structure, you require the Constitution amendment. You cannot simply change through simple majority. Why it is considered as a basic structure of the Constitution? Because it is reflecting the philosophy of Constitution. Whatever Constitution makers supposed to tell, that is what they reflected in the preamble. That is the reason. This words already I explained, students. Which word we added? So fine. So which of the following objective is not embodied in the preamble of the Indian Constitution? This was UPSC 2017. The question is about. Okay. So forget about the answer for some time. So question, try to understand the question. Always when you are giving the test series also, even though you are right also sometimes, in fluke you may be right. Always remember, sometimes in fluke you may be right, it doesn't mean that you have a good idea about the subject. So after giving the test, try to spend enough time on the test paper analysis also. That is very essential. We'll see. Which of the following objective is not mentioned in the preamble of the Indian Constitution? Liberty of thought and expression, fine. Economic liberty, we'll keep that for hold. Liberty of expression, of course, liberty of thought, expression, and liberty of belief. See how microscopic they are going sometimes. In preamble, okay, liberty of thought, liberty of expression, liberty of belief, liberty of faith and worship. Unless until you are very sure about this minute, in the tense of environment of that exam, that's very difficult to go through. So the obviously answer now, as we are in very comfortable position, you are saying that, so economic liberty was nowhere mentioned, because you can eliminate the three things. So this is sample question, how they'll test your knowledge from the preamble. Of course, we will see few more questions. Again, 2017. So 2017, see, the minds of the makers of the Constitution of the India is reflected in which of the following? Minds of the Constitution, that means philosophy of the Constitution. As we are discussing now preamble topic, we will say simply preamble. But when you are go through this, of course, they frame the options, this somewhat simpler in this question, because fundamental rights don't reflect the thoughts, and DPSP fundamental duties forget about, because fundamental duties nowhere in the original Constitution. We were added later. DPSPs, it reflects the social justice. This is individual justice, and this is the philosophers, a mindset of the philosophers of the, makers of the Constitution. So when you are seeing the questions like this, after the quick revision, you will understand how the questions are framing from the particular topic. So this is the idea of the particular, this rapid revision class. By that way, you feel that you are learning as well as you are practicing. On top of this, once the class is done, you can read on your own and you can check also. If you see this, the philosophical postulate of the Constitution of India is based on what? So here the question is based on the objective resolution. Sometimes the students will get confused here. Nehru objective resolution, second statement. First statement is also the Nehru, but this guy is the Motilal Nehru and here the Jawaharlal Nehru. This is about Motilal Nehru report in response to the Simon Commission. In response to the Simon Commission, this is what? When Simon Commission appointed in 1927, As Indians opposed the Simon Commission at that time, Breckinridge, he challenged the Indians that if you don't want Simon Commission, do you really have the capacity to convince all the Indians to have your own constitution? At that time, we took the challenge and we appointed the Motilal Nehru Committee, and the Motilal Nehru Committee given the constitution itself. With respect to Motilal Nehru Committee, the most important point you have to remember always is Motilal Nehru Committee never demanded the sovereignty of the country, it accepted the dominion status to India. Very, very important. Dominion status to India, and this is the first attempt by Indians to write our own constitution. That is also very important. So, Motilal Nehru report nowhere. Mahatma Gandhi's independence in Young India, no. And INC Purna Swaraj 1929, this is also led by the Jawaharlal Nehru, okay, session. Objective resolution, just now I told you, while in the topic I explained, objective resolution related to Jawaharlal Nehru and preamble. These are some of the sample questions. We'll see one more. Actually, in future classes, from tomorrow onwards, how the things will work is, these questions actually will be given to you in the form of printouts, okay. Answers key, I will explain here. Because this is the first class, I want to make your life smooth and I want to make everything smooth. So, I am displaying here. In reality, question I will display here, obviously, and you will have the question also. You will think and you have to answer. That is how the interactive based is. You should not sit idly, okay. You have to answer and we will discuss once that particular topic is finished. For example, tomorrow class, once the fundamental rights are done, 10 MCQs will be there. You have to go through all the 10 MCQs, 5 minutes time will be there. You will answer, rights are wrong, then we will quickly discuss. That should be the right process. So, the preamble to Indian Constitution is, obviously, first statement is not part of the Constitution. No, it is given clearly. So, part of the Constitution. It is a part of the Constitution, but neither confers any powers, nor impose any duties, nor can it be any use in interpreting of the Constitution. The question what they are asking is, see here, how difficult they framed here. Okay, now you know this answer is C. But in fact, if you don't go through the answer, that means what they are saying, preamble is a part of the Constitution, but it neither confers any powers, nor impose any duties, nor it can be any use of interpreting. If you are very good in the polity, in some chapters you might have seen that sometimes Supreme Court told that preamble can be useful to the interpretation of the Constitution. Did you remember that? Preamble is the one which can be used for the interpretation of the Constitution, but it is saying that preamble cannot be used for the interpretation of Constitution. It is a wrong way. And preamble is a part of the Constitution, can be used in the interpretation. This is what? This is right. A part of the Constitution and it confers powers and imposes duties as any other provisions of the Constitution. No, you cannot equate preamble with any other part of the Indian Constitution. Preamble has its speciality. So, the third statement is the right one. So, from this you must understand that sometimes the questions, the specific questions like preamble, they are tied up to very broad objectives. Here this question is these two statements basically about preamble, the topic of preamble and preamble application. What is the application of the preamble? The application of the preamble is interpretation of Constitution. The application of preamble is interpretation of Constitution. If you are very strong about this statement, simply you will derive to the answer. Traditionally, if you are confined to only classroom learning, just you will learn about preamble, then you leave it. Then the question will be the application part. Sometimes they are asking. So, please go through these kind of questions. So, here I will try to explain as many questions as possible, which are very difficult in sometimes. Rest of the things you can buy any MCQ book and try to solve. And once the class is done, if you are having any doubts also, you can ask me. I will help you out. The term economic justice in the preamble to the Constitution of India is a resolution for what? So, we will see economic justice, equal distribution for wealth. Okay, reasonably fine. We'll hold this statement. Economic justice means economy in the administration of justice. No, ridiculous statement this is. Yes or no? In the administration of justice, if you are saying economy, how can it will be the fair justice? There is no rule of law. Are you understanding my point? Second statement is wrong. Third one, socio-economic revolution. Constitution don't expect the term revolution, like Constitution expect evolution, but not the revolution. Okay. And cheap justice to the poor, not cheap actually, free and affordable justice. Cheap justice is a very wrong way. Okay, free and affordable justice, Article 39A. Article 39A, free and affordable justice, as well as for free and affordable justice, National Legal Service Authority, NALSA, State Legal Service Authority, as well as Lok Adalats and Gram Nyayalayas and e-courts. All these are the affordable justice in India. Very, very important. Affordable justice and quality justice. This you have to know. The answer is obviously the economic justice means what? Equal distribution of wealth. I already asked this question, Article 39B, and if we ensure this, Article 39C. Equal distribution of wealth. This is what envisaged by the Indian Constitution. The preamble to the Constitution, not part of the Constitution, no. It indicates objectives to be achieved. Just now I told you. What are the objectives? Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Cannot be amended? No, already Parliament amended once, 42nd Amendment. It is a source of authority of the Constitution of India. This statement you have to think carefully. What it is saying? Preamble is the source of authority of the Constitution of India. No, not preamble is the source of the Constitution of India. Who is the source of Constitution of India? People, the people. That is what you have to remember. So these are just some of the sample questions on the preamble, and the UPSC previous questions also we discussed. So before we go to the next topic, before we end this topic, we'll see what we discussed very quickly. Okay students, we have seen the preamble, how it looks like, and from what we can learn from the preamble, we have seen. Then popular views regarding the preamble, then Supreme Court judgments on the preamble. Then we discussed about whether the preamble is amendable or not. If amendable, what words we can add it. This thing also we discussed. Of course, here I did not tell you about this, like in preamble, the word republic we took from French, and the idea of preamble we took from USA, and the word justice, liberty, equality, that word justice we took from Russia, and the concept of liberty, equality, fraternity, French Revolution. This also you have to remember. So this is about the preamble overview. That's it. You can finish off. Next, source of Constitution we can keep it for later. Next, let me explain about the union and territory. This is it is a somewhat neglected topic. Article 1 to 4, citizenship 5 to 11. These are the gray area. Sometimes people tend to do the mistakes. Let me explain. Article 1, 2, 3, 4 quickly. Okay, what they are talking about. And Fasalali Commission, S.K. Dar Committee, 1948, JVP Committee, 1948, Fasalali Commission, 1953, Report, 1955, then State Reorganization Act, 1956. Category A, B, C, D states abolished, and India reorganized into 14 states, 6 union territories. That is what we are going to discuss quickly. Okay. Online students, if you have any doubts, please ask me guys. Offline students also, if you have any doubts, ask me. How's your preparation, by the way? UPSC prelims preparation. So did anyone of you clear last year prelims? No? So for how many of you this is going to be the first prelims? First time prelims for you. For rest of the students, already you given the prelims. Second attempt. Okay? Dinesh, what about you? Rendisal miss ayindi. Avuna? Fine. So, okay students, now we are going to discuss about union and territory. So union and territory, which includes Article 1 to Article 4. So before we go into this topic, first you have to know that this Article 1 to Article 4 clarifies about what is the nature of polity in India. That is whether the India is federal or unitary. Nature of polity in India. Second one is about, so whether what is the relationship between the Union of States as well as territory of India. What is the difference? What is the difference between the Union of States as well as territory of India? Can anyone tell me? What is the difference between the Union of States and territory of India? Very good. Union of India means it reflects only the relationship between the central government and state government. It don't include the UTs, Union territories. But if you are using the word territory of India, it includes the UTs also. That fine difference you have to understand. And like she told, whatever the areas you acquired, it comes under the definition of territory of India as long as they are not become the state. Once they become the state, obviously they as a part of the definition of Union of States. For example, Sikkim, we acquired, but now it is a part of Union of States. Goa, okay, we liberated Goa from Portuguese, 1961. Up to 87, it was territory of India. In 87, it became a state. Now it became a part of Union of States. So it is a fluid. Something from territory of India, it can go to Union of States, and something from Union of States can go to territory of India. For example, Jammu Kashmir previously used to be part of Union of States. Now it went to the definition of territory of India because we downgraded it from state to UT. This thing you have to understand. So from Article 1. Article 1 is talking about the name and the nature of the Indian Constitution and territory of India. So first, Article 1, the significance of Article 1 is it is giving about two types of information. One is what is the name of India. So the name of the country is Bharat, that is one relation it is giving, one name it is giving, Bharat. And of course, nature of India. What is the nature of India? It is a federal or unitary. It is saying India is a union of states. I told you because India, when India formed with a lot of separatist ideology. Even we got independence also after Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel tried hard. Still, like areas like Jammu Kashmir, Junagadh and Hyderabad. In case of Jammu Kashmir, we went for instrument of accession. In case of Junagadh, we went for referendum. In case of Hyderabad, we went for police action. So when this is the condition, we cannot simply give, federalism or federation. We cannot say because the nation's integrity and unity matters a lot. So territory of India means what? All the territory of states, UTs, as well as any territory which is acquired. All this falls under the definition of Article 1. Acquired means acquired according to internationally. For example, through 100th Constitution Amendment Act, we acquired few things. They come under Article 1. Next. Then according to Article 1 of the Indian Constitution, territory means, as I said earlier, and if we compare the territory of India as well as Union of States is all about center and states. Territory also includes UTs. That means obviously territory of India is having the wider expression compared to Union of States because it is including more things. This is the conceptual point of statements in prelims point of view. While you are solving MCQs, this word is very, very important. Acquired territories. After India got independence, what territories we acquired from other countries? Sikkim, Goa, Daman Diu, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Puducherry. Of course, Puducherry we acquired from this French one, and this Goa, Daman Diu, Dadra Nagar Haveli from Portuguese. Sikkim is used to be independent kingdom. Initially, it started to India as associated state, associated kingdom. Later, it got the full statehood in India. Next, Article 2, establishment of new states. If you are acquiring any part to India into the Indian territory, like previous cases, all this comes under Article 2. In Berubari case, Supreme Court clarified that if you are doing anything according to Article 2, obviously you require the Constitution amendment. But Constitution is saying that no, whatever you are doing under Article 2, Article 3, you don't require the Constitution amendment. That is what Constitution is talking about. Which article? Article 4. That means even though Constitution is saying other way, Supreme Court stipulated that it requires Constitution amendment. So Constitution itself don't have any value. Who are interpreting the Constitution matters a lot. For example, in the first judge's case, 1981, did you remember the first judge's case? 1981, what Supreme Court told? Concurrence of the, okay. So first judge's case, Supreme Court clarified that when President is appointing the judges, asking the CJI, consulting the CJI is enough, but concurrence is not required. That means whether the CJI is accepted or not, President will appoint whoever he likes. That means CJI role is nowhere. Consultation prevailed over the concurrence. These kind of words you have to remember. So then difficult concepts also, when someone asks you, you can easily answer. Why you should be able to easily answer? Because as long as you are not answering, your confidence will kill over the period of time. Sometimes we know, but we couldn't answer. That reflect that you are not good with the concepts. You have to read multiple number of times. This is what Supreme Court told in first judge's case, that consultation prevail over the concurrence. But in the second judge's case, 1993, no, it is not like that. Concurrence will prevail over the consultation. That means CJI plus 2 senior most judges, they have to accept. That related to collegium. So here, who interpret the same constitution? Constitution is same, but the interpretations are too different. So always remember, constitution itself don't command any value. It's all about who are interpreting the constitution, that matters a lot. So Supreme Court Constitution interpreted Article 4 in such a manner that Constitution amendment not required for Article 2. But Supreme Court interpreted in another way, Supreme Court saying that no, it is not like that, Constitution amendment is required. Now we will see 10th amendment. Through the 10th Constitution amendment, if you remember this, observe carefully, whenever we added the new part to India, all the time we done the amendment, this amendment came after the Berubari case. Berubari case in which year? 1960. After that, when you added the Dadra Nagar Haveli, you done the Constitution amendment. Goa, Constitution amendment. If we would have added these before Berubari case, then Constitution amendment would have been not required. But in Berubari case 1960, Supreme Court clarified that Constitution amendment is required. When you are added Goa, Puducherry, Sikkim, all these points you done the amendment of Constitution. Article 3. Article 3 is about the formation of state. It is nowadays very relevant. Nowadays even some people in few states, they are demanding for the separate states. So regarding the separate state bill, you have to remember few things. Number 1, the state formation bill first starts with the president. From president, straight away it will not go to parliament. From president, it will go to the concerned state. I'll take an example, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. When Andhra Pradesh and Telangana bifurcated, at that time, president bill, it went to Andhra Pradesh Assembly. Here, whether Andhra Pradesh Assembly will accept or reject doesn't matter. Only Andhra Pradesh view will be taken. Okay? That too, within a time, Andhra Pradesh Assembly has to give their view. Then the bill will come back to president, and from president the bill will go to parliament. Any house, to Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And of course, state formation does not require the constitution amendment. These fine details you have to know. So initially before parliament, president will recommend that to state assembly. Here state assembly only can express its opinion. Its opinion is not binding on the president or central government. That means what you can understand, you must be able to understand that. I muted, obviously I muted everyone. Actually I muted everyone, but still it is your responsibility to mute yourself, obviously, because now you are grown up. You know how to behave in the conference call, how to behave in the class and everything. Okay, fine. Of course, there must be a fundamental duty also. Okay. So Article 3. When I am saying about Article 3, the state assembly don't need to approve, I told you, only opinion. So what inference you can draw? You can draw an inference that in India, there is no guarantee for states' sovereignty. Very, very important. In India, there is no guarantee for states' sovereignty. That means state identity is no guarantee. Parliament can divide the state whenever they like. That is the intention of B.R. Ambedkar opinion about in India, union is indestructible, states are destructible in nature. Why that provision was included actually B.R. Ambedkar? If B.R. Ambedkar included the provision that the bill must be accepted by the assembly means, normally when state is getting divided, minority people wanted to be divided from the state. If in that case, do you really think that the bill will be passed in the assembly? Never. That means minority wishes will be never prevail. By thinking that B.R. Ambedkar included this, that the assembly no need to pass the bill. If assembly passage is required, then Telangana would have been never passed. Not only Telangana, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand would have been never possible. Actually, in fact, B.R. Ambedkar supported the small states. Do you know why? What is the reason? What is the reason? And what reason B.R. Ambedkar supported the small states? We are talking about the states here. Development. Okay. Yes, very good. According to B.R. Ambedkar opinion, the minority rights will be protected more in small states compared to large states. I'll give you an example. The tribal status in Bihar is very different compared to the tribal status in Jharkhand. Are we clear? The tribal status in Madhya Pradesh is comparatively different from the tribal status in Chhattisgarh. In Chhattisgarh, tribal rights are more protected. So, small state obviously will protect minority rights very effectively. That is what B.R. Ambedkar view. In fact, B.R. Ambedkar supported the small states. There is a reason he given very easy way for the formation of states. So, according to Article 3, center can decrease the state area, increase and everything it can do. Now, Karnataka is and Maharashtra, the dispute is going that. Maharashtra is claiming that Belgavi belong to them. Do you know Belgavi issue happening between the Karnataka and Maharashtra? Whereas Karnataka is saying that, no, we cannot give to you. And to consolidate the Karnataka position, Karnataka is constructing, I think, one new assembly or one new secretariat they are constructing in Belgavi also. By that way, they can add more authenticity to the Belgavi and they can claim more. This is Karnataka. Recently, the issue has happened. Okay. And even the Kaveri issue also, interwater dispute, that also we have to discuss. The conditions, like I already said, the bill must require the prior recommendation of the president. The bill will go to the concerned state and the state views are not bound. And finally, in case, for example, president forwarded the bill to assembly, assembly given their view to the president. Now government changed something in the bill. Again, you don't need to send to the assembly. Are you understanding my points? Andhra and Telangana dividing, for example. Okay. So, Khammam district in Telangana. The bill forwarded to United Andhra Pradesh Assembly. Assembly given their view. The bill came back to the president. Now, government changed their view and they said that, okay, we'll merge the Khammam with the Andhra. They changed some things to bill. When they are changing, doesn't mean that again they have to send it to the assembly. Be clear with these finer details. They will be tested in your prelims. Are we clear about this? So, states are having very marginal level. If you are, for example, in case of UT, if you want to change some areas in the Delhi, or if you want to change some areas in Ladakh, the bill straight away forwarded in the parliament. Even you don't ask their assembly also. Because UTs are enjoying less federal autonomy compared to states. That you have to understand. Okay. This already I told you, states don't have any territorial integrity. So, in Berubari case already we discussed and 100th Constitution Amendment also we discussed. Article 4 is saying that anything you done under Article 2, Article 3 does not require the Constitution Amendment, but it was reversed in the Berubari case. Then evolution of states and UT. Evolution of states and UTs. Now, I will give a brief overview about this in a nutshell, then you will understand forever. Listen students, when India formed in 1947, till 1956, India divided in such a manner that areas which were previously directly ruled by Britishers, that is known as British India, that is part A. Next, areas previously ruled by local rulers like Hyderabad and which are having their own assemblies, they are the part B. Part B are the princely states with assembly. Part 3, UTs, at that time we used to call as chief commissionerates. Chief commissionerates, they are part C, they are 10 in number. British India 9, princely states 9 and chief commissioner 10, overall 28 plus part D, Andaman Nicobar. This is how entire India divided. Part A, part B, part C, part D. This thing we followed from 1947 to 1950. But what happened is 1956. But what happens after we got independence in 1948, Andhra people in Madras state, they started demanding for the separate state. For that, S.K. Dar commission was appointed. S.K. Dar commission was appointed, students. So, part A, part B already explained. You can go through this PPT. I will share this PPT in your Telegram group. Already I told you 9, 9, 10, 1. This is about 29. S.K. Dar commission appointed in 1948. What is this S.K. Dar commission told? This S.K. Dar commission clearly rejected the idea of linguistic basis. We cannot form the states based on the language. We must give the convenience according to the administration. That is very, very important. That means Andhra people who are not okay with the S.K. Dar Commission in 1948. Then they demanded that they want justice and they want one more commission to be appointed. In response to this, in the same year, JVP committee appointed Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Pattabhi Sitaramaiah. But here the irony is, Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, who is from the Andhra region, he is in the member of the committee. This should be actually conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. And actually he is the one who established the Andhra Bank. Now it became the Union Bank of India. Pattabhi Sitaramaiah is the one more thing is, he competed against Subhash Chandra Bose for the presidentship of INC. Did you remember that? He competed against Jawaharlal Nehru for the presidentship of INC and he was supported by Gandhiji. But in fact, he was defeated by the Subhash Chandra Bose. From there, Gandhiji distanced himself from the Congress. JVP committee. What JVP committee suggested? JVP committee also rejected the state reorganization based on the language, but it added one caveat. That is, exception can be given to Andhra. It is generally saying that you cannot divide the states based on the language, but it is also said that exception given to Andhra. This is in 1948 itself. But still, the process did not move. Because of this, in 1953, what happened in 1953? In Andhra, Potti Sriramulu, he started hunger strike in Andhra, and some of the Andhra leaders, they decided that we want to sacrifice one guy. So they identified Potti Sriramulu and they convinced him that go for hunger strike. He went for hunger strike. At that time, Rajaji was the chief minister. Rajaji used to follow very strong policy. Even you might have heard about Rajaji plan, CR formula, 1944. Rajaji and government of India also agreed that, for Andhra people, Andhra state will be given. But the people around Potti Sriramulu, so they convinced him to go for a few more days, by that we will get Madras also. This actually in reality happened. You go for a few more days of hunger strike, we will get Madras, because Madras is just on the verge of the Andhra. Like when Andhra Telangana divided, they demanded for Hyderabad. If Hyderabad would have been Nalgonda, now they would have went for in that way. Like Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh. So they pushed him, hang on for a few more days, we get Madras. But Madras did not get, he went. So the point is, he sacrificed his life. When he sacrificed his life, the entire Andhra was completely anarchy. Law and order was missed out completely. Then immediately government announced that we are giving separate state to Andhra. Andhra state was formed in 1953. So when you are giving separate state to Andhra, then obviously the other people in India also will demand, yes or no, we want our separate states. Then government decided that this will not work. We'll appoint one commission. That commission in 1953 appointed was Fazal Ali Commission. Fazal Ali Commission. Actually, they asked one question on the Fazal Ali Commission in this year Group 1 exam, TSPSC. Fazal Ali Commission was appointed. What is this Fazal Ali Commission main responsibility? It has to go through entire India and it has to check the regional aspirations. It went to all the areas. This was in 1953 to 1955. During this time, Andhra is separate state and Hyderabad is Hyderabad state. Hyderabad is Hyderabad state with few areas of Maratha speaking population and few areas of the Kannada speaking population. When this was the process, Fazal Ali Commission, they visited entire India and they given their report in 1955. Government of India accepted their reports, and that report accepted by Parliament in the form of State Reorganization Act 1956. State Reorganization Act 1956, and the State Reorganization Act 1956 approved, and it divided the entire India into no category A, B, C, D like. It divided entire India into 14 states, 6 UTs. This is the narration how the states formed in India. Fazal Ali Commission, what the Fazal Ali Commission told, this is also very important. These are some of the important things regarding the Fazal Ali Commission. So Fazal Ali Commission told that while you are giving a state, you have to consider these things. Number one, when you are giving a statehood to particular area, the unity and integrity or unity and security of the India should not be affected. So if any people, for example, Vidarbha people, they're demanding separate state. You can give the separate state, but you have to fulfill this condition. Second one, those set of people should have either linguistic homogeneity or cultural homogeneity. Very, very important, because linguistic homogeneity may not bind the people for a long time. Best example, Andhra and Telangana. Andhra Pradesh was the first state to formed based on the language, and it is the only state which is divided in spite of having the common language. So, language homogeneity required, or you must have the cultural homogeneity. And third one, administrative consideration must be taken. Financial, economical, that means it must be able to sustain on its own. And planning and the welfare of the people should be taken care, because when state is divided, few will become majority and few will become minority. So, people welfare, and it also recommended the category A, B, C, D classification used to be there. It recommended to cancel out. They cancelled out, and states reorganized. 14 states, 6 UTs were formed. That 14 eventually now became 29 when Telangana formed. After J&K dropped down from state, now total state became 28. Okay, and of course Ladakh also became UT. Now 8 UTs, and states formed. First it formed with the Maharashtra. I mean Gujarat separated from Maharashtra from then. Since the Telangana, these are some of the states formed in India over the period of time. So this is about the quick revision regarding the union and territory. Article 1, Article 3 and Article 2, Article 4. This is about union and territory. So in this class, broadly we discussed about the salient features of the Indian Constitution, and second we discussed about the preamble, and third we discussed about the union and territory. So in this way, if you kickstart your preparation, then the only next grey area will be the citizenship. You take around 15 to 20 minutes. Once that is done, then the rest of the entire topics are very high yielding areas. How the questions can be asked, we will see, and gradually I'll increase the number of questions. Whatever I ask here, I'll improve. That means I'll make sure at least by the end of the class, you should be able to practice 50 MCQs. At least we'll make sure. Okay. For that, obviously, whoever attending the offline classes, your cooperation required. This class is obviously rapid revision means your brain drain will be very high. After the class, you'll be very exhausted. That is guaranteed. Okay, because you have to put a lot of focus. These are the 3 topics we discussed in this class. If you have any doubts from these 3 topics, or doubts in general regarding the polity, ask me, I'll explain. Okay, polity in general also. And as classes are going on, like how I told you in today's class, what are the trap areas, how you will be trapped in different topics, parliament, fundamental rights. Okay, sometimes they will ask you, according to constitution, the pro tem speaker will be appointed by the president. On the face of it, when you look at the statement, it looks so harmless. But the depthness of the statement is, constitution nowhere mentions about the pro tem speaker. Simply it's a convention. See how you will be mistaken. This kind of things we will discuss in the coming classes. Now, yes, it's your turn now. If you have any doubts, ask me. Do we need to refer PT 365 also, sir? If you are attending the class and if you have that kind of revision material, go through that. Already you are the one who already done with the Lakshmikant book once, then you can refer ready-made material along with the class. That's fine. Why I am recommending along with the class means, reading after listening, it will improve your process a lot, rather than passive reading on your own. That because it's proven in my case when I given the interview UPSC a couple of times. In my condition, when I read something, these 3 topics, if these 3 topics if someone will ask me to read on my own, I never would have been finishing these 2 hours, because that artificial targets would have been not there. That's required. In particular, state reorganization, what all should we remember? In particular, state organizations, what all should we remember? Regarding the state organizations, you have to remember about State Finance Commission. State Finance Commission, Article 243I, you have to remember. Then State Election Commission, Article 243D, and District Planning Committee, Article 243ZD, and Metropolitan Planning Committee, Article 243ZE. These are the organizations you have to remember regarding the states. Any doubts? Doubts in Adagandi. Parastatal bodies means organizations created by the state in parallel to local governments. For example, local governments are there in Telangana, Panchayat Raj. If a government is created one Mission Kakatiya Corporation, then that is a parallel body to the Panchayat Raj. Always remember, parastatal bodies are somewhat harmful effect on the local governments. That means they are taken away the powers and functions of the local governments. That is very important in points of mains point of view. What are the limitations India is facing regarding the local governments? One of the most limitation is parastatal bodies. Government is creating the individual corporations. Are you understanding my point? For example, if government is creating the Swachh Bharat Corporation, then it will control everything from center. Then what the municipalities have power? Nothing. So parastatal bodies are nothing but parallel organizations created to constitutional bodies. No. Okay. Parastatal bodies are in generally corporation we can consider. Okay. Constitutional? Then Gunchi? No. These are evolved. As the process is evolving, we are creating these new bodies. Parastatal bodies, sometimes in broadly you can call it as a non-constitutional, non-statutory bodies, you can call it as in that way. If that is the definition you can attribute, then somewhere around law commission also can bring to parastatal. Schedule 7 lo parastatal bodies. Schedule 7 lo ఏ సబ్జెక్ట్ అవుతుందో ఆ సబ్జెక్ట్ పైన parastatal bodies వాళ్ళు పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. For example, in Schedule 7 health comes under state. So state can create one parastatal body on health. Are you understanding my point? Okay. Doubts ఏం లేవా? బ్లాంక్ అయ్యారు. అర్థమైందో చెప్పింది? You understand anything? Whatever we discuss, so try to attentive in the class. If you have any doubts, ask me. If you don't have any doubts, you are done with the class. The next topics will be followed according to that particular schedule. Done with the class. Thank you. We need to write all sectional tests before better understanding of classes. So one thing is, someone is asking test regarding the classes. What I can suggest to you is listen the classes, understanding the concepts and practice the MCQs. Once the classes are done, then start giving the tests, not parallelly. When you are attending these rapid revision classes, class, standard book and particular MCQ related to this particular topic. Once these things are done, then start giving the tests. Who is the final decision for deciding the state capital? It's a very difficult question. They are asking about who will decide about the state capital. Parliament actually, if the state capital is decided according to the committee established by parliament, then it is a parliament. Andhra Pradesh related question, this one is. Andhra Pradesh is going for the 3 capitals, yeah. Of course, they clarified it will be 1 cap. Sir, can we have your contact number or email ID? You can find in YouTube so many videos, hundreds and thousands of videos are there. A Telegram channel is also there. You can find so many ways. Okay? My pleasure. We are done. Here, anyone from out of AP Telangana? You are from non-Telugu states. You are from Kerala. You are from Odisha. Rest of the people are Telugu students. Done.